Yesterday, pro-Brexit Conservative MPs Daniel Kawczynski and Jacob Rees-Mogg hosted an event in the heart of Westminster. Westmonster went along to speak to the pair.
I'm delighted to introduce Jacob this evening. He must and should be one day at the pinnacle of the Conservative Party. And I've come here to meet all of you young people, to try to enthuse you, to take the message out there throughout the constituencies which you represent, to spread the word about this man. He will one day lead the Conservative Party, and one day he will become our Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
First of all, forgive me for having looked at my telephone. I never normally would, but we're on a running 3-line whip, and the wind-ups have begun, so it is possible we will have to shoot back for a vote. Daniel, thank you so much for that generous, too generous, overly generous, exaggeratedly generous.
What's your call to people that are maybe waning with their Brexit support at the minute, or just worried about the direction in which it's going?
We're getting there. It's a difficult period at the moment because legislation is going through the House of Parliament. The House of Lords are passing some amendments that are against the manifesto commitments and against the constitutional norms, and we don't know the results of the negotiation. But by October we will know the results of the negotiation and the legislation will be in place. So I see that it's a difficult time, but we're almost there.
There's a lot of talk at the minute about customs partnership and a relationship and whatever form it may take. Have you got an actual specific vision of what you would like that to look like?
Well, I mean, I think we should trade as openly with the whole world as possible, not just with the European Union, and that we should have as simple customs processes as possible. That with the European Union, what checks realistically will we need to make in future? Goods that are safely made in Europe on the 29th of March next year will be just as safe on the 30th of March, and I'm also in favour of reducing all tariffs, not just having no tariffs within the European Union, because free trade makes the country that initiates it better off.
We shouldn't even be frightened to call an election over this issue. This is such an important, once-in-a-lifetime issue that I think the Prime Minister ought to put this vote to the Commons over the Customs Union, because I think many of us would want to reject it.
Look, you've been tweeting some things about the Lords recently. I believe you are not their biggest fan. Can you talk me through, do you think they might be about to be abolished? Would you like to see them abolished? What do you think?
Well, I think when we have members of the House of Lords like Lord Billamoria and others who are actively and openly saying that they want to use their positions to thwart Brexit, then I think you really have to think about the long-term constitutional settlement. Are we prepared as a society to elect unelected and unaccountable lords who aren't held to account through the ballot box, make decisions and ultimately overturn the will of the people? I believe that their conduct is so bad that we should have in our manifesto a major fundamental review of how our constitutional settlement works at Westminster, yes.
I think abolition is unlikely, but I think the peers have broken the constitutional conventions, and that leaves them in a difficult position because they have no democratic legitimacy, and if they don't abide by what has historically been done and use their powers in a different way, then you have to ask a question about where do they get this power from, why are they behaving in this way, and it seems to me that they are backing their own vested interests against the British people.
In terms of a post-Brexit immigration policy, is there any kind of outlook that you've got there specifically?
Well, I think we should treat all countries equally. I don't think the preference for the EU is something that should continue.
Now, with Jacob Rees-Mogg, you obviously attended his event tonight, you introduced him. Are we looking at a Prime Minister in waiting, do you think?
Well, you have to ask yourself the question, and I pay tribute to Sam Frost, who organised this event.
Of course.
Sam and his team. You have to think, if Sam and others had organised this get-together for many, many members of the Conservative Parliamentary Party, I wonder whether a man and a dog would turn up. This place is absolutely heaving. There's probably less than 5 Conservative parliamentarians who would draw this sort of crowd. Boris Boris and Gove, obviously, but then again, they've had their chance, and I will never forgive what happened at the election, where the two of them fell out in such a spectacular way, which then ensured that a Remainer became the Prime Minister. And I think some of the problems that we have today is as a result of not voting for a staunch, authentic Brexiteer to become the Prime Minister after the referendum. So I think when you take that into account, I think Jacob Rees-Mogg is the only credible person to become the next leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister.
Pro-Brexit media needs your support. If you enjoyed this video, please support Westminster at westminster.com/support. Thank you.